Hi everyone, it's me again. In this video, I want to go through how you can scale your Amazon FBA wholesale business efficiently. Because a lot of people who do wholesale, they struggle the whole scaling part of it, whereby they'll start the business and they end up being a major cog in the business. Well, the main reason why most people start businesses is to get it to a point whereby they can outsource tasks and actually achieve a bit of time freedom and location freedom. So in this video, I'm literally going to very briefly go through the things that you need to think about when it comes to scaling a wholesale business. Now, the first one is ensuring that your product sourcing is on point. Now, what I mean by that is the products that you sell are able to last you the test of time. Because if you are out there sourcing products which will never return you profits for at least a couple of months, your business is not going to have a stable, sustainable income when it comes to doing wholesale, because the relationships that you develop will never actually come into fruition. And what wholesale is, it's working with a set number of suppliers and developing relationships with these suppliers, knowing that these products can return us X amount every single month, roughly. So that's the first point that people really fail to understand, whereby they'll try and scale a wholesale business, they'll try and outsource certain tasks. However, the foundations of their business is flawed. So they're sourcing products and suppliers that will not actually be beneficial for them over the long term, so they're constantly chasing their tail. For example, common mistake, which I see quite a bit, is sellers using really easily accessible wholesalers, which they find on the first page of Google, purchasing this stock, sending this stock in. Well, obviously the stock there and the suppliers are too easily accessible, so these listings end up tanking within the month. So you'll get sellers trying to throw more cash at that failed system, because you can just going to keep jumping on listings which are tanking, and sellers try and throw more cash at that system and try and outsource that system. However, that system is ever failing. So we've got to think, how can we optimize our sourcing side of things so that isn't happening? How can we find suppliers that other people aren't finding? How can we develop relationships that other people simply aren't able to develop to lead us to essentially products and price points other people aren't able to get? So that's the first thing that I wanted to cover. And then once you've got things like that and your foundations in place, so your business set up correctly positioned within the supply chain, you can then start to focus on different tasks which you want to delegate. Usually these are the lowest ROI tasks, because as a seller, or as essentially the director of your business, you want to be focusing on the highest ROI tasks. So usually the first thing you want to go in and delegate and outsource is things like prep and admin. So prep is a big one, and also repricing, which would come under our admin somewhat, but prep is a big one. Okay, you cannot be spending hours and hours fiddling around with bubble wrap. Those hours could be spent on the phone, developing relationships, making you thousands, okay? And actually growing your business, a higher ROI task, right? So how can we streamline these operations? Now, first of all, you've got to understand that streamlining operations can only be achieved in one of two ways. Either A, you conduct those operations over and over again, and it gets to a point whereby over a certain amount of time, you've realized, okay, we can streamline this in this way, we can streamline this in this way, let's try and streamline this way, okay, that don't work, let's pull back a bit and try a different way. Or the second way is learn from someone who's already streamlined the business. Okay, so they're the two usual ways which you're gonna be able to streamline your business. But what's very important is that every aspect that you're streamlining actually works. For example, it's pointless streamlining sourcing if you're sourcing wrong, like I touched on earlier. It's pointless streamlining prep if, let's say, your prep station isn't set up efficiently. Okay, so that's very important. It's understanding that not only, yes, we want to streamline our operations, but we are streamlining the correct operations, that those operations are done in an essentially correctly. Okay, because anyone can do operations incorrectly and streamline that, but then again, your business is going to burn to the ground. It's all about how can we streamline the correct operations which are running correctly. So that's another very, very important point. For example, another operation which you want to streamline is your ordering workflow essentially. So when we receive a price list from a supplier and receive profitable products from a price list, having an understanding of essentially how we are going to place this order with the supplier, calculate our profitability, and run this whole process. Now, for those of you that do wholesale already are going to know what I'm talking about. For those of you that don't, I'll explain it now. For example, we get a price list from a supplier. First of all, what's profitable here? Okay, this is profitable. Okay, so how are you extracting that piece of data into a spreadsheet, for example? Are you doing that in the most efficient manner? And then from there, okay, so we've got all these profitable products from Amazon, but we've got ASINs. How do we then translate the ASINs into the SKUs from the wholesaler catalog? Is that another step which we have to complete? Okay, from there, how do we cross-reference that with the profitability of everything? And how do we actually go in and place this order with the supplier based on the unit count of the ASINs and based on the SKUs on the supplier price list? So for example, now when we place these orders, and how I show my students in the Wholesale Academy, it's literally done within the click of one button, whereby you've got a wholesaler order being literally presented in front of your face with one button. Your profitability is being presented in your face with one button. And all the ASINs and all the listing information is being presented in your face in one button. It's done with one click instead of you having to go in, manually copy and paste. Okay, this is the profitability for this ASIN. Then you manually having to find each ASIN, get the SKU from the supplier, translate all the information, put an order together with the supplier, calculate the number of units because some might be multi-packs. That's long. That can take you hours. Whereas the way I show and the way I run in my business, it literally takes, it's a click of a button. Now, see, how have I got to that point? Like I mentioned earlier, literally repetitions, finding ways to streamline that whole process. And the same comes with the replenishment side of things. For example, now I have systems in place whereby instead of having to go into each ASIN and calculating, okay, I've got this much stock left, this is our lead time for that supplier, this stock is selling this much per day, oh, I need to order this much on this date. That can get very, very, well, that's basically impossible to do at a mass scale. Once you've got more than, let's say, 30 ASINs, you're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to go through each individual ASIN every day, try and calculate your lead time, how fast it's selling, how much stock you need, how much stock coverage you want. You're not going to be able to do that. For example, now I have systems in place whereby it's literally, I log into a software and that tells me when to replenish what, according to the lead time I've entered, according to the stock coverage I want, according to how many days I want to send in, how many days worth of stock I want to send in. Again, that's a process that would normally take hours and hours and hours, streamlined, again, click of a button. All these things I show in my mentorship program, Wholesale Academy. If you're interested, link in the description to book a free call. But back to what we are talking about, when it comes to streamlining these operations, utilizing different softwares, they can be very, very useful in scaling your Amazon business. And that's how you're going to scale, right? Outsourcing these tasks, which are otherwise very mundane and time consuming. Outsourcing these tasks, streamlining these processes in a way that enables you as a business owner to focus on the highest ROI tasks. Okay? And also scaling your team. This is another very important thing when it comes to scaling a wholesale business. Okay? What are you delegating to real people? For example, virtual assistants. Are they doing admin? Are you showing them your sourcing methods? How to actually acquire accounts, how to reach out to suppliers, how to talk to suppliers. How do you want to delegate these tasks amongst your team, essentially? So that's another thing which you've got to think about. And then another way in which you want to scale, which will obviously be very, very important, is how is your company set up and presented? What's your company ethos? How are you going in to talk to these suppliers? Okay, because as your business scales, you may or not realize it, but your business essentially, the value that your business can offer to other businesses increases because you become a bigger player in the game. You have more experience on Amazon, you have more knowledge, you can utilize that knowledge to your advantage. which is why we're at a point now with my business whereby the knowledge which we've accumulated over the years, that's helped to scale the business, because now I can go in and talk to a brand and open up an account like this, exclusivity agreement like this, because of essentially how the business has grown. So that's another thing to think about. Literally, the knowledge which you have within your business, the branding of your business, the way your business is set up, the way your business is marketed, that itself can scale your wholesale business. And obviously, I touch on this on pretty much every video. To scale your wholesale business, something that will set you apart from your competitors is developing relationships with your suppliers, because you'll get access to products other people can't access. You'll get access to product prices other people can't get. That alone is going to scale your business, because you're going to make more profit as a business and you're going to make more money. It's going to separate you from all your competitors as well. So that alone is going to scale your business. Also, something else which I'm going to touch on. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, so this is not financial advice, but obviously having an understanding of cash flow and funding obviously can be very useful when it comes to scaling your business. For example, let's say you have access to supplies and products which are pretty good, and the data suggests that these products will be very, very good to purchase. Obviously, funding could be used. Again, like I said, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, but that is something which obviously I can say I would think about. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Another thing as well when it comes to scaling your business is simply having a long-term mindset, understanding that this business is a long-term business. And most businesses, you are going to have to put in a certain amount of time to build these foundations and set your business up for growth. So having a long-term mindset that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme, and this is a business which you want to work on, want to put the time into, and essentially grow and develop from the ground up. Okay? And things that can help you scale your business is education. Okay? And I'm not just saying that because I have basically the best wholesale program out there. Testimonials speak for themselves. Again, like I said, if you're interested, link in the description. But I can give you many, many, many examples whereby I've helped people with my years and years of experience who were literally on the verge of quitting Amazon, on the verge of quitting wholesale. These people had paid for education elsewhere, very, very rubbish, poor, low-level education. Come to work with me. They've gone from, let's say, just from the top of my head, I've had someone literally on the verge of quitting, doing 3K a month. Literally scaled them to the point where they're doing 50K a month. Literally helped them acquire their VAs, train up their VAs, literally every single aspect of the business, negotiate with brands, everything. Okay? So to scale your business, one of two ways. Either A, you can make the mistakes yourself, lose the money yourself, learn the lessons yourself, or B, pay someone and invest in education with someone who's done it, knows what works, and literally can show you the pathway. Who's obviously done it in their business themselves and helped other people do it as well. And in my opinion, it's going to accelerate your growth tenfold, even more than tenfold. But like I said, any help with your current Amazon business or transitioning into wholesale, link in the description to book a free call, and I will literally get you or get your business to a point where you'll be more than content if you put the work in. So something else I want to touch on is actually knowing when it's right to scale. When is it right to scale your wholesale business? It's very important. I touched on it a bit earlier. Your fundamentals are in place. Okay? The foundations of your business are proven to work, and you can grow from there. For example, like I said, let's say you keep chasing your tail on tanking wholesale listings because you're buying from tanking suppliers. Your fundamentals aren't in place because your sourcing methods aren't performing as you like them to perform. So it's right to scale when you're seeing those consistent profits month on month, and the processes which you've implemented, the workflows which you've implemented within your business are churning results. Okay, that's the first thing. You have sufficient capital as well. You need to obviously have enough capital to invest in, let's say, higher barrier to entry suppliers, higher MOQ suppliers. That will obviously enable you to scale. Something I say to everyone as well about wholesale, the more you have, the quicker you'll scale. You can invest in more and better softwares. You can delegate tasks, obviously pay for VAs and a team. And obviously you'll be able to have stronger negotiation power because you have more money to play with as well. So all of these things come into play when it comes to knowing when it's right to scale. Okay, and it's very, very simple. Okay, your business is set up correctly, you're seeing proof of concept, you are seeing results essentially, and you know that you have a stable supply of products, suppliers, relationships, and your business essentially has the foundations there to grow. Okay, but that's only achieved if you know what you're doing. You can't say you're ready to scale if your fundamentals are all over the place, if you're still going on Google to find supplies, if you're still purchasing listings or jumping on listings whereby they're tanking after a month because the supplies are too easily accessible. You need to have a bulletproof blueprint of a business, right? The workflows which you have need to be bulletproof. The way in which your business operates is set up for the long term. It can't be no get rich quick rubbish. It's a long-term business. You have a business. I shouldn't really say business. Well, obviously you can have a business plan. We have clear direction as to the processes which are involved in your business, the workflows which are involved in your business, and where you see your business going. All these things must be, well, you must know them to a T in order to scale your business and obviously proceed with achieving obviously your time freedom, which you're going to want, and your location freedom. For example, now my business has scaled to a point where I work no more than an hour a day. Everything's outsourced. All I do now is answer phone calls, really make phone calls, which I quite enjoy. But yeah, I hope everyone found that useful. Like I said, I got a lot more videos coming. So subscribe, because you will, well, I don't need to try and convince you because you'll see with the upcoming videos. If you like the video, again, like the video. If you have any video suggestions, feel free to let me know. I'm more than happy to make whatever videos you guys want to see because I find making these videos quite fun, to be fair as well. So I will catch you in the next one.